Baruch haba, listeners. Welcome again. This isn't a Genesis podcast. I usually limit it to that, but this is our next conversation piece. What? I have lost track of the number. Do you know, Brad? Okay, it's conversation number. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, without further ado, I'm Scott.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Brad. And this is not about us.
All right, thanks for joining us one more time in this conversation piece. Today we have a special guest star, Paul. He's already introduced himself, so he's not going to talk again. No, just kidding.
I'm actually okay with that. This is the dangerous game you're venturing into here. You can see there in the world there are introverts and there are extroverts, and extroverts enjoy oftentimes talking. I'm one of those people who is fine sitting back and letting other people talk.
That's
so
right.
You guys could just talk forever, and I'd just sit here nodding my head, and you'd have a podcast.
There we go. That'll work. So that's going to make it very tough with all the questions we have for you, but we'll figure that out when we get there.
Why, yes, Scott, that's a good point.
Oh, no comment once again. Wow.
And I do want to say real quick, top of the morning to you, because our Irish friends, we've noticed you keep coming back, and I just want to say a special thank you to you guys. I hope I didn't slaughter that so badly you hate me now, but we really appreciate it. Thank you. We have noticed you keep coming back, and we do appreciate that.
You keep checking us out, and I don't have new content, so I'm working on it, I promise.
But before we go on, we just want to invite the one, this isn't about us, so we want to invite the one that it is about in Brad. I almost said Paul. Can you go ahead and invite Yahweh in to do his thing?
Yahweh, Yeshua, Spirit, we're gathered here today with a friend to provide hopefully a spirit-led conversation. But as always, that's not something that we can do by ourselves. So we invite you in. We invite the Spirit into this place and to help guide us to speak of the things that you wish us to speak of, to share the stories that you wish us to share, so that it can be encouraging to others to also have a conversation with you. Because at the end of the day, that's all we're doing. We're just doing prayer and conversation, but we're doing it with the most important one.
Oh, hallelujah.
Thank you for our trip up here. Thank you for our time with friends. Thank you for this experience of this place that I have been overwhelmed by, just touring here and seeing the good work that is being done. And I know the listeners don't know what that is yet, but we'll get there. I want to say hallelujah. And I just want to praise you. And I just want to give you all the glory and all the respect and all the love that we can, even the small amount that we are capable of. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. So before we get started, I want to introduce, like we said, Paul's joining us. This is the artist behind Spiritman, and not just the artist. You're the web designer. You're everything. I've said it before, so I don't know if you know this, but every one of our conversation pieces, we try to have like a shout out for someone who's really touched us, and you were one of my shout outs.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Because this man does everything. And I was just talking to some of your friends here, and we are filming this from St. Cloud, Minnesota. I'm going to get it wrong. Portable Visions.
Yeah, Portable Vision is a ministry site within a group that's called Youth for Christ, but specifically Central Minnesota Youth for Christ. So we do Portable Vision here. It's something that we started, and so you're not going to go to another city and necessarily find a Portable Vision.
Okay.
If you do, that'd be great because it's portable, right? You can take it anywhere. I would hope that it would. up here. But it's a very unique thing because we take students, so teenagers and adults gather together in a space, in this space, and we set up drawing tables, painting easels, chairs, and we get out materials, and we make art for a period of 12 weeks. We share stories, our life stories with each other, and then we pray for each other, we affirm the value of each other, and then we clear all that stuff out, and we have an art show, and you can see kind of in the background some of the pieces that are going to be in a art show that'll happen next week. And this space will be filled with visitors, parents, friends of students who've been making art here, and it'll be a celebration of the work that they put in. So, and in that process, we share 3 stories. So there's my story, there's this other person's story, say, a student or another adult mentor, and that third story is God's story. And so our goal is for, as much as possible, our stories to overlap with God's story. And then when we share with a teenager, we're sharing God's story. That's our goal.
That's awesome.
All right. So when we get done with the podcast today, it's going to be a special treat. We're going to stop and we're going to show you some of the artwork here and let Paul talk about each piece. And Brad and I can tell you, we've already toured around. It's amazing. And one of the things I was telling Brad as you were helping someone else out with a project is the thing I love about this type of art gallery in general, but this type of thing, is you can walk around and you can go, I respect the talent that it took to do that. I respect the artist, I respect the art, I respect the quality. This one, this grabs me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stop it. This touches me emotionally. And you can have 20 pieces of art on the wall and 20 different people come in and each one stops at a different piece. Because art is it's so passionate and so emotionally attached that everyone has a different story going in and everyone will be drawn to a different thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a phenomenon that occurs. And you spoke about quality, and we do put every effort into making just really nice art. I also say to the students, because people will come in with varying levels of skill, and honestly, when I'm making comics or making art, I often feel like I'm stumbling my way into something that occasionally turns out nice. That's the way I feel, right? The stuff that doesn't work, I just hide that, right? Yeah. So all my stuff is great, right? No, not so much. Students and even often mentors come in and maybe feel a little nervous about, will I be able to make something nice, because we're going to have this show and a lot of people are going to be here and it's kind of like a deadline and people get worried. The key is to be honest and really put into your art that honesty that you shared with us when we took an evening and shared our life stories with each other. And skill is one thing that gets developed over time. In the course of 12 weeks, your skill will advance, but it's not the most important thing. And the thing that really grabs people is when you are just flat out honest with what's going on with you and you put that into your art.
Absolutely. There's a couple pieces that I saw, and I've never met the painter, I've never met the person that did it, but I kind of feel I already know them a little bit. And I picked that up on a couple of these pieces, and yeah, it's emotional, and it's beautiful. I very much appreciate it.
Yeah. Also something that I love about the podcast that you do, and I love how you say, I'm Scott, I'm Brad, this is not about us, because it is about Yahweh. And very early on, that just stood out to me is a part of what we do here at Portable Vision is I'm grateful that God has allowed me to be a part of what he does. And I think that's what happens here in this space and throughout the building is I show up and do my best, and but really it is, without God's intervention, it would not work. And I have been so blessed to see God working, to be allowed to be in his presence when he's doing his work, and so many amazing things. I was just telling the guys, this is episode 30 of our Portable Vision art shows. We do 2 a year, so we've been at it for 15 years now. And so many stories of God at work in people's lives, and it is just amazing to be a part of.
That's cool. It really is amazing. And you were talking earlier, and I want to give you a chance to share more about the other things. About it's not just the artwork. We also, as we came in the building, they were playing hoops in a brand new gym downstairs.
Yeah, hoop time.
Yeah.
And so they, the building where we're in, it's actually a big building. What you're seeing in the shot is small. I think we're going to get to seeing some more of the building, but it's big. It used to be a trucking company. And so that trucking company moved to the outskirts of the city where it's easier to move trucks around, and gave Central Minnesota Youth for Christ a very good deal on this building. And so we've been gradually converting it into youthful spaces for youth ministry. So there's a gym which just got some nice wood floors, was dirt. Good luck playing basketball on a dirt floor. I'm sure some have, right? But not ideal. And they're down there now because of some great people who donated to have multiple groups of teenagers playing full court basketball on nice wood floors, having actual games with teams and coaches, and also sharing a little bit of God's story in the midst of that.
How awesome that they got the new floor, so they're safer. We were watching it for a little bit, and it was pretty cool. They were going at it hard.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
there were some tumbles, and I can only imagine what that would have been like on concrete.
Yeah, because it went through a stage that was dirt, and then it got concrete, which was nicer than the dirt, right? But yeah, you're going to get hurt if you're walking on that. We also have a skateboarding ministry. I can't remember what the name of the ministry is, but their slogan is "Break bread, not boards." And I don't exactly know what it means, other than it's like skateboarding, and communion, or fellowship, in there. But yeah, they just started going out skateboarding out in the community, and found out that they had great conversations with people, and said, why don't we, because, hey, here's the deal. This is Minnesota. In case you haven't heard, it is cold here. It's almost June, and we're talking frost warnings.
Oh, yes. I live in Iowa, and I'm like, how could any intelligent human being live north of us? This is crazy.
Right. And I have no good answer for him. I might be I'm stuck for a while. But yeah, so you got a lot of the year where it's not comfortable to skateboard outside, even though we do have outdoor skate parks. So we got a nice indoor one here. I'm just saying, half pipe and all sorts of graffiti on the walls, and other obstacles you can skateboard on.
And the sign that says, no skateboarding.
Right,
no skateboarding allowed.
Yeah. We just
I'll
want
show
to
you.
Right, we want to make that clear. And if you're going to rebel against the man, you might as well identify the man.
And you also mentioned music.
Yes, we have. They
music
operate
ministry.
along with. So our Portable Vision. Actually, the full title is Portable Vision and Audio. So I don't want to forget those folks. And wonderful person. Was a youth pastor. Is now a worship leader at a church. Aaron. He leads that. He's got a lot of background in recording. So students will join us, and in the course of 12 weeks, will write their own song and perform it at our gallery show.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And a couple other things that you mentioned that I want to let you give a chance to talk about. I've already lost the name for it. I'm sorry. The camping.
We do adventure camp out in the wilderness. So because of twists of fate, or actually the hand of God working, right? Depending on your perspective, family members of a person who works here actually own property in Wyoming, and they have invited us to bring students out there. And so we have camps out in the wilderness of Wyoming, sleep in teepees and wall tents, and right at in the foothills of the Beartooth Mountains. So you've got
Wow, yeah.
mountains all around, just on the east edge of Yellowstone, and so we do all sorts of adventures out there with teenagers from central Minnesota, mountain biking, rock climbing, rafting, and just we hike up a mountain, just all sorts of crazy things. I think they even go fly fishing, and then I go out there and lead art adventures.
Really?
And, yeah,
See, I didn't know that about it.
we would go and use found materials. So one year we made a horse sculpture, and just all this random wood pieces that have fallen on the ground, and we're taking and combining them onto a structure. And we do that. We did a massive painting. We just took to different sites and did different things to it, and had 30-foot canvas with students all along that. And,
Cool.
Just lots of fun stuff like that.
So I want to ask you, you talk about how you share God's story with all of this. And we talked briefly about, the art, the music, and even the things like skateboarding and basketball. It's an emotional outlet. It's getting the people to express not just their passion, but maybe their grief and their pain. But just let them pour their emotions out. And how do you tie that in and share the gospel through that medium? I mean, with the art, maybe it's put your emotion on canvas or in a sculpture or whatever. But even with the basketball, the skateboarding, all of that, how do you guys tie that in and just share the gospel through the letting the students pour out their passions?
Yeah, that's I think the beauty of the format that really is something that Youth for Christ does, and it's really kind of this idea of by listening to someone, then I have permission to share. And so everybody has a story, and so we'll have students. Oftentimes students come to us two common places. It's kind of an odd mix of homeschooling and teenagers come from chemical dependency counseling, and maybe in live-in program where they have had serious drug addictions or self-harm, and the homeschool kids often are just looking for a place to get together with some other teenagers. So we all get together in this space, and then everybody gets a time when they can uninterrupted share their story. And there's something about being listened to that is, it's freeing, it's empowering, and finally you feel like you've been heard, and then you're more willing to listen to somebody else. And so then when we share our stories, like when I talk about my own experience going through junior high and high school, and a big part of my experience is meeting Scott. And Scott, you came over and asked me if I would be interested in drawing a comic with you, and you're like, well, okay. You start to say, okay, I just want to make sure you understand what you're getting into, right? This is a Christian deal, and so I don't know if that's something you agree with. And I had grown up in the church, and what I talk about is how so yes, I said yes to that, and it was a natural thing for me to do. But also, what happened in that process was you challenged me a lot in terms of, well, do you actually believe these things? You say you go to church, but what do you actually believe? And it really challenged me to think about faith and own it more. And so I get to share that story with teenagers. I don't know if you necessarily know, but
I'm learning some of this myself for the first time.
Yeah, secrets will be unveiled. You do not know what you're getting into. So at about that time, that junior high experience for me. Some people go to middle school, some people go to junior high. I'm not clear on what the difference is. But
When we were there, it
Yeah.
was called Anson Junior
Anson
High.
Junior
It has
High.
since changed to Anson Middle
I
School
think middle school runs
in Marshalltown, Iowa.
5th or 6th through 8th, where junior high is like 7th through 9th, something like that.
I think it's just a title. I don't
Whatever.
mean the same thing.
Yeah,
but
now I'm fully
didn't mean to
distracted.
interrupt.
Right. Okay, so at that time, like I was not doing well with friends, and I would go to lunch and didn't really have anybody to sit with. And a common experience for me was I try to sit with someone, and they would say, "We don't know why you're sitting here. No one likes you." And
Really?
Yeah, that was kind of my.
I didn't know that.
And so you coming and actually wanting to be my friend, that was golden.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't aware
after,
of that.
After 15 years, I can almost not cry when I share that story. But
Wow.
yeah.
I don't know what to say. Well,
I'll say thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that God could use me that way. From my perspective, I always thought of you as the more popular one.
Oh. Well, who knows? Maybe I was. Ignorance is bliss, right?
There we go. Now, one thing I briefly wanted to say, kind of going back, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you were talking about letting kids share their stories, and then they're more apt to listen to you. And one of the things that hit me is something I had heard a long time ago is nobody cares about what you know until they know that you care. And just expressing that appreciation for them,
Yeah.
I think helps.
Yes, appreciation, that's another part of what we do. So everybody gets 7 minutes to share their life story. So kids will get up. And it's amazing to me what they share. Maybe it's a part of our social media culture, right? We're putting everything out there online. Like everything we have will go into a podcast, right? Put it on the internet.
Yep.
But kids will come up and they'll talk about, like when a kid gets up and he says, my mom's a whore. And you're just like, what do you do with that? But there's so many things that kids will say, or a student might talk about how they worship some strange god. And it's probably, something they got from Japanese lore or some other, tradition. And, or they might talk about, I'm gay and, lesbian or transgender or something. Just all sorts of information that they will come up and share, about, or what's very common is self-harm and cutting. And, just so common. They're just hurting so much they don't know what to do, and that's their release. And so they'll share about that. And so at the end of this 7 minutes, when they're talking about I don't know who my parents are or who my dad is. Dad's been out of the picture, or we don't celebrate Christmas at our house because not since Dad left, and they'll do a drawing of their father packing the bags, and mom is crying, and is the cartoon bubble saying I'm so sorry, things like that. And so we hear this life story, and then we get to take turns saying, this is what I appreciate about you. I'm gonna cry.
Oh, no, go for it.
It's
the honesty. We just talked. Yeah.
it is life changing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Before I go on with anything else, Brad, do you have any questions? Do you want to throw something else in right now, or I don't want to monopolize
I want
this.
to cry too. It's a beautiful story. I'm just sitting here overwhelmed with appreciation for what you guys are doing.
I think after 15 years, I've realized that I've been doing therapy here too, right, with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but no, it is a total life-changing experience to hear, especially from your peers, to hear someone saying, yeah, this is something I appreciate about you, and then we pray for the kid.
And just how many people have been saved from that, but how many actual lives have you saved? When we first walked in, there was There was a gentleman that was watching the hoops game, and he explained that one of the coaches out there was very involved in getting, young people in here, so they're not out on the streets, they're not getting hurt, they're not possibly. You might have literally have saved lives. He said he grew up in New York, and he remembers actually just seeing bodies on the street from people who have been hurt and killed. And
he's mentioned like a stray bullet doesn't care, doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't worry about it. Doesn't have a target. Doesn't matter who it hits.
Yeah, and so I mean, not only saving lives, but also bringing people to Christ who, in any other circumstance, may not have even had a chance.
Yeah.
And just how awesome is that?
That's when I say that I get to see God do His work. That's what I mean. It is such an amazing thing. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, you've already kind of talked about one of the things I was going to ask you about earlier, and I was like, I don't remember how we met. So, because I remember going up saying, do you want to do this comic? I remember that part, but I don't remember originally meeting you. You know what I'm saying?
We were in classes together for a while, right?
Okay.
So we probably knew each other, slightly from that. I don't remember having a ton of interaction with you before that.
Okay.
Like I knew who you were, sort of. I mean, I didn't know you were a writer.
So I'm assuming.
Like
I know I saw your artwork.
I think it was Mr. Shima's math class. And I was always drawing, and Mr. Shima telling me not to draw, right? Or whoever the teacher happened to be. I mean, nothing against Mr. Shima, right?
Yeah.
But I was that kid who.
But I'm going to kind of tie it into Spiritman now.
Okay.
Real quick, can I just say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just found this interesting. This just occurred to me. You met Paul because you wanted to do a comic book. And you met me because, we met because of work, but you came to me and our relationship started because you wanted to do your play. And I just thought that was kind of interesting that it's your writing that is also benefiting you in a way that it's bringing people into your life too.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a pattern that he's noticing that is, I think, a lot like what we do with Portable Vision. Or any of the other ministry sites, like we're not saying, hey, you want to do this ministry together. It's like, hey, you want to come make art, or hey, you want to come play baskets, or skate at the skate park, and then we build relationship, and then we talk about God.
Yeah, you don't really give them God until they have a reason to trust you.
Right, and you're kind of living it out in the process. I mean, it's not. I think it's what stands out to people about the way that Spiritman is written is that it's not preachy. It's just a story in which God's this reality, and this is what He's doing, and these are people who are living in the midst of that reality.
Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for. In that, it's just. Yeah, I don't want to turn and look at the reader and say, by the way, let's stop and have a Bible study. That's not honest. And we're talking about honesty today. I want to be honest with what those characters would actually do and say in that. But you mentioned before that you have your time to share your story too, and you talked about us doing the comic. Now, I remember you calling me because we hadn't touched for basically 20 years. We'd had some off and on, hey, how's it going? But after high school, we pretty much, we started, for those of you who don't know, in high school, I had this comic idea. We got together, we started to draw some panels, we started to do some stuff, but we were kind of ended up going, we're kids, we don't know what we're doing. And this was fun, and we had a good time doing it, and we were friends, but this isn't going anywhere. You went off to college, I got married, and things kind of broke off. Suddenly, 20 years later, you give me a call and say, hey, are you interested in doing Spiritman? And what you told me is you were at Portable Vision sharing your story. I don't know if you remember telling me this, but you said, I was telling the kids about this comic I used to do, and one of the kids went, then why aren't you still doing it? And you went, yeah, why aren't I still doing it? And that just set a fire in your heart, and you contacted me back and said, are you interested in picking this up again?
Yeah, that's very true. It was also at a time when my dad had just passed away, and I had come through this territory of really managing my dad's affairs, and mom's still alive, but they both kind of had medical issues, and young children at the time. I was a stay-at-home dad, and I was just like sandwiched between the needs of my children and the needs of my parents, and it was a lot. I really wasn't making any art. I was doing this portable vision thing, and I could barely eke out some art, but I don't think my art was that great. My dad had passed away, and so I was grieving from that. I miss him, but also was in a way a little bit freed up in terms of time, and I found myself just praying, crying out to God, what do I want to do? It's time, and it's precious to me, but it's also like all of the things I've kind of wanted to pursue have been shelved while I was, taking care of business, so to speak. And the answer kept coming back, Spiritman. And, I thought about those days of us, kind of having fun, being friends, making Spiritman. That's what I wanted. And I said, Lad, let's do that. And so I called you, and I started drawing. I put myself through Bern Hogarth School. If you don't know who that is, he's taught anatomy at some prestigious universities, anatomy for artists, and also he drew the Tarzan comic strip back in the day. He's got a series of books on anatomy. I'm pretty sure Bern Hogarth is not with us anymore. If you are, Bern, out there, call and let us know you're still here, because you are great. So I went to school, I went to college, I studied drawing in college, but didn't really necessarily learn comic books, or didn't really learn a lot there about illustration. What I learned a lot about was how to do art shows. So how to do what we're doing here at Portable Vision. I didn't know that I was being trained to do this stuff here, but I was. So that would have to have been God's planning. It was not mine. But for making comics, I really settled down, and I just spent a lot of time drawing. And even I think I introduced you to the TV show Psych. So
yes.
That's one of my favorites.
And now I've seen every episode.
Yeah. And so it was on as a marathon on broadcast TV every Saturday night. So I'd sit there with my stack of Bern Hogarth books, and I'm just kind of copying the pictures, but also training myself how to draw people. And so just made a study of it. And then so I think we connected about Spiritman, and then a long time went by and nothing really got developed necessarily. And that in that time, I was really working on my drawing skills.
I think when you first contacted me, I kind of said, well, I've grown since then. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? And you just said, run with it. Go for it.
Yes.
So I started putting together a new pilot, very different from the first script we had. Because I've kind of mentioned this in other podcasts, we had the freaky G.I. Joe type villain.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it was Obaid.
Obaid and
Reverse for Diablo, which we thought was so clever.
We were on it, man.
You guys were so cool.
Yeah, we had the Cobra Commander.
And it was more like a spandex superhero type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of become more of a spiritual war. I think of it more as not superhero but soldier, is the way I personally think about it now. I don't know what you think, but
I think the two there's a lot of overlap. I kind of think of it as superhero, but I think you're right that it's not necessarily the spandex version.
Yeah, I guess that's no. The spandex is the good word to say. It's not. It's gone away from that.
Right.
I don't want to spend too much more time doing this because I really want to give you a lot of time to show off the art and stuff. But one of the things I wanted to ask you before we quit with Spiritman, just when you start drawing, if you could share, because one of the cool things for me, and I've shared this with you, is I've got a script. I wrote the script and I hand it off to you. And then you give me the final product and I'm like, whoa, it's a cool experience for me because it started with me. And when it comes back, it's totally brand new. And it just, for me, it's a cool experience just going, this is amazing. I gave you a seed, you turned it into a flower. And when you get a script, what's your thought process? What's the artistic side of things? I guess I have no other way of expressing it. What are you going through at that point?
Yeah. So I take the script and then in the margins I'll do little thumbnails. So there maybe it's an art term that we use, and it's really the idea is it's about the size of a thumbnail. Well, they're bigger, but about that size. I'll do, okay, this is the page. And mostly what I'm seeing is, okay, how is this going to break down in terms of panels? And so I'm starting to visualize that, how it breaks down in panels, and I take notes for that. And sometimes, we've had a great working relationship where you'll specify things like, this is pretty specific how I want it, and then, but if it's not real specific, then, feel free to move things around. And so sometimes I'll think, okay, maybe this connects better on this page, or so I'll play with that. I'll start to get a sense of the thumbnail, how the flow goes from page to page, and then once I get that done, then I'll do bigger drawings that are, I'll take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, cut it in half, and that's basically the size that I'm working on. And so I'll do 2 pages, so you can have one in a comic book, you open it and there's one page facing each other. So I'll design it that way. And those I'll actually scan into the computer. So I'll spend a little time drawing those out and get a little more detail, but it really starts out as blobs, right? And so the process is really, I'm thinking 2-dimensionally, and I want this thing to work in a design sense 2-dimensionally. And then once I get that 2-dimensional design worked out, then I'm going to work on making these things look more 3-dimensional. So then those blobs that sort of take up 2-dimensional space start to become these modeled figures and landscapes and whatnot. But also, you got to take the dialogue, and so you're managing eye flow from, as a person, we read in English from left to right and top to bottom. And so things need to read that way. And so I'm trying to manage and I want that action to point the viewer to the next thing. So managing a lot of different things like that okay, so then I'll figure some of that out in my notes and then start to make it into a real image. So then that bigger drawing, half of an 8.5 by 11, I scan that, blow it up, print it out, put it on a light table, and then we're in the territory of a final drawing. I'll have the light table lets me see what's underneath, so I've got a clean new sheet of paper and I'm actually drawing on that, but I have what I've already drawn is a guide for the rest of the image.
All right.
Yeah, so I kind of build it up like that. So a lot of note taking, a lot of experimentation, and I mean comes from studying how do other comic book artists make their art, and I read a few
that's a
books
good
on that.
point, because when I was growing up, I wanted to be a writer, and everything, my biggest, what everyone told me is, then you've got to be a reader. It says, if you want to be a good writer, be a good reader. And so you say, you study other comic book artists, and that just makes sense to me. It just, absolutely. You want to be a good comic book artist, you've got to be a good reader. You've got to be a student of what everyone else does.
Yeah, conventions are a good way too, because go to conventions and you got people there that want you to talk to them. And so, yeah, there may be a creator of some of your well-known comics. You can just go right up to them, and maybe you'll find Spiritman there if you're at Icon, or something in the Twin Cities.
And it just occurred to me too. You talking about you went to college and learned how to do art shows, and it was like God knew where you were. He was going to put you. Mm-hmm. And I remember being told very young, you got to be a good reader, and I read a lot. My mom taught me how to read when I was 3 years old, and I was reading when I entered first grade. I had a 12th grade reading level, and so I was reading a lot. Once VCRs came out, I said, I stopped reading. I was watching movies. Uh-huh. My imagination was sucked in, and I just became a part of the story. It's like it pulled me in a deeper way, and it has only recently just occurred to me that my writing is similar, and I was like, it's just now occurring to me the way you just explained, hey, God had me doing art shows. God knew I was going to do Spiritman one day. Mm-hmm. And it's like the comic script is very almost identical to a movie script, and the thought process is very much the same, because I'm basically providing no description. You're doing all of that. So I've just got the dialogue, and all of my description is fight happens here. Mm-hmm. Now they fight.
Those are the best words that an artist could hear, right?
But I mean, I don't have to say, and the rolling green pastures, we're alive with the sound of music. I don't have to explain and paint a picture in the reader's head. You're doing that. And I've said for most of my life, I said, I'm not a good novelist. Dialogue I'm wonderful at. I can't give description very well. And only now when you mentioned that, God knew what he had in mind for me, I'm like finally putting it together. Well, God knew where he wanted me to go, and he knew the description wasn't going to be important. You were handling that.
That is cool. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to throw in? This might be a good time to wrap it up and show the other artwork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So one last thing I do want to say before we end this part of it is, I've mentioned it in a previous podcast, at our very first Comic-Con that I was with you. You'd been to several, but we were sitting there at the table, and you realize now you have street cred. And I went, what? And it shocked me that I never thought street cred could be applied to me in any way. Well, now, this is your first podcast.
Right.
I can turn it around and go, you've got more street cred.
That is awesome. I'll add that to my list of accomplishments.
So,
illustrator and podcaster.
Podcaster, YouTube star.
Yeah.
So we're not going to end it here. I'm not closing.
Okay,
What?
can I interrupt?
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of ending. It's kind of burning on my mind. We kind of talked about some student stories, and there's one that really stands out that I'd love to share with you.
Is it one of these pieces?
No, but...
okay, then go ahead. I thought it might be good to stop at the piece and share that story.
No. So we had a young lady come and join us named Maria, and Maria had... fun girl, and but she did no father in the picture, and just had issues and struggles, and she was with us for one 12-week session, did not come back and join us. Some students are with us for several years and just keep coming back. So Maria, didn't really hear anything from her. But Maria had gone off, and she had joined the Navy, and in the process, in the midst of all this, had developed pretty serious alcohol problem, addiction to alcohol, washed out of the Navy, and had been in rehab, and happened to land at a local church where she landed there because she remembered being in this portable vision sometime in the past where we had talked about God, and she just realized she wanted to have some of what that was, because these were pretty good times to her, which is, to me, stands out as being amazing, because, what is, your 12-week interaction with her do? Well, ends up being the church she was at is the church where Aaron was the worship leader. And so she was there asking to join the worship band. And then he unknowingly recruited her to come join and help out mentoring audio students. And that's when she makes the connection. This is the same thing she had been a part of earlier. And so that's God bringing Maria full circle. And it was really just even the briefest of conversations about who this God is, that it didn't in the moment mean anything to her necessarily, but it was a monument that she could return to later in life.
A seed was planted. It took a little while for it to get watered.
Yes.
But it finally did.
Yeah.
And how awesome is that? Hallelujah to that.
And so when I read in the scriptures, and Paul will talk about, I'm celebrating, I'm praising God because of you, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of. Is I am praising God because of Maria.
Wow. Well, I was gonna say we're not ending.
There'll be a cut.
We're gonna stop here. We're gonna pull around to some of the artwork here.
Bad parts and mistakes and stuff.
All right. So we'll pick it up. For us, it's gonna be a few minutes. For you, it'll be right now.
All right, hey. Welcome all to our tour of the gallery, Portable Vision and Audio Gallery Space. We've got a show, it's about to happen. All fairness, some pieces are not hung, so you might notice a few things that are imperfections, but it's in process. So we'll mainly talk about things that are already up and ready to go. Got one here. An artist named Xander. Xander is a fellow who really desires to learn some comic book stuff from me. So when we talked about street cred earlier, in a way I was speaking tongue in cheek, but this is what I mean by street cred, in that by making Spiritman Comics, really do have a level of credibility with students. And so the thing I like about this piece is I know the story of Xander creating it, because he did not know what was going to happen next. And so he was actually laughing as he's doing each panel, because he's like, oh, this is so awesome. I wonder what this guy's going to do next. And having some fun with what he was making. And I think that is so key, and I think that shines through, because if you compare, his figures are more simplistic, stick-oriented than mine would be, but that doesn't matter. And he was having fun, and that is a big part of what is important about making these things. That's how I got started. I'd set up my Star Wars toys and try drawing them, and I was having fun. Okay, so here's a series of pieces made by Sam. He likes to work digitally, and does a really nice job with that. I think
I detect a very anime influence.
Definitely anime, manga influence. He has a warmth to his art. I think he's expressing emotions very clearly in his art. Sam is one who struggled with friends, kind of like me. I shared that as part of my story, and it came to PV, and instantly people gathered around him and just kind of want to sit at the same table. And because he was finally with some people who were a lot like him, so such a wonderful story of Sam fitting in and finding a place to be. I just love when that happens. So yeah, I think his art is about that, about warmth and compassion, and that's what he feels. Yeah.
Where do you want to head next?
I don't know. I'll take this next one. Daniel's piece. Okay, I haven't all figured this out yet, what it's I think we can turn this on. I'll see if it does anything. Okay. So, Daniel is a very unique, I should stand over here, right? Unique thinker. And this idea of combining two-dimensional imagery with sculpture is cool and uncommon. And so that I'm not exact. Sometimes art is like I look at it and I want to try and figure out what it means. And all these artists will be making artist statements, and so it'll become clear. And I haven't read them all yet, but this is kind of an idea of what's inside and what's outside.
What I find interesting is, you see, he's going towards the light, so I find that interesting. There might be something to that too, but I also just in his actual photography here, he's made this guy have so many different emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Just being the sketching model, he turned it into a thing where you can see lots of different excitement and action, and just with his still photography here.
Yeah.
But the way he's like tangled up.
Yeah, and that's what I wonder so we got kind of like a bird cage, and is this character trapped
Right.
inside?
I had in college, I had a teacher tell me that what the artist meant behind a piece of music, and you can translate it into art such as this, is totally irrelevant. It's whatever the listener gets out of it that matters to him, because each one of us brings our own thing to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I disagree to a point. I don't think the artist's intent is completely irrelevant, but I do understand that everyone brings their own thing. You, Brad, we could all look at this and each get something completely different out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it would all be legitimate.
Yeah, I think both things happen, and so it is kind of a conversation. Part of what we try to do at Portable Vision, we'll do group critique, and that's just a chance for the artist to hear back from other people. What are they seeing in your art? And it's often, or sometimes, not what you were intending to say, and that can happen. And so for artists, doing a series of work is sometimes about trying to get down to, this is what I'm really trying to say, and you can make a nice image but still not make the thing you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Let's see. Got some of these. All right.
Right. If you want to get over so you can see it directly, go ahead. You move into the right spot.
Yeah. So it's an image by Grace. I'm not sure exactly what Grace was thinking. What I'm seeing here is I don't know if it's a person or a pet. Sometimes we do these, anthropomorphic figures because they're vehicles for expressing. But something about maybe sadness and comfort, the spirit coming to comfort. That's kind of what I get from that.
There's definitely a light and dark theme.
Yeah,
going on
definitely. And
Yeah, my first thought is that it was dead and it was the spirit leaving the body.
yeah,
So
that could be
yeah.
too. Maybe a pet who passed away. I don't really know. That's all speculation.
Uh-huh.
But
That's yeah.
This was a print. So she used linoleum and cut this image out of linoleum. I think
Wow.
maybe two. I'm not sure how she did the process. I think she had two parts of it, so a dark part and a white part. So this is ink, and then she did some work on the paper to give it this color, and then printed these two things, black ink and white ink. Definitely going for a contrast.
This one
it's a nice image.
jumped out at me.
Yeah, Evan's becoming pretty good at his craft, and I love how he's breaking the panel. And
Who did you say the artist was?
Evan's the artist, and
I'm getting a almost fallen angel theme here. Looks like the wings from the one side
Yeah, it's like singed.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and there's also the story of I think it's a mythological
Icarus?
story of Icarus, right?
Yeah.
Flew too close to the sun, and his wings of wax
Which in a
melted.
previous podcast with Cooney, we said could have been a idea of the fallen angel story.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, what I'm appreciating too though is you once again you have kind of that light and dark. You know, the one wing is the burnt up one. This one, I do see the flame on it.
Yeah.
But it's still very white and beautiful, and yeah, it's just these are really cool.
I just love how he combined so many elements. Like the materials are, these paper doll kind of figures, but they're also got the fabric for clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the clouds and have this ink outline, and yet they're cut out and break the panel, which give them a real life.
Yeah, it makes it
Energy.
very 3D and
Yeah.
in this dimension. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just a mixture of styles that is very interesting. Styles and materials. Jaden here, who has black silhouette, and using I don't know if she used salt or sugar, but it's a technique where you get that texture. You do watercolor, but you use the salt, and it kind of gives those kind of crystalline looking edges.
They're very beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how this figure is off-center just a little bit and a little lower. So like it's kind of like if you were centered, it would be too perfect. So it kind of gives it this level of interest by getting it off-center. All right, let's walk around. We'll go into the next section of the gallery.
Go ahead and lead the way.
Yeah, lead the way. All right. All right.
Wherever you want to stop.
This one, right here, sculpture,
This was
Jeremiah.
Ah. We were wondering. I was checking this out, and it's like, okay, I see anger listed here. I also see hope and joy. So I wasn't sure what was going on with that. It's like it's all being grabbed and pulled in.
Yeah, I'll be interested in reading his explanation.
Yeah.
I know Jeremiah is one who comes from a place of faith in Jesus. And so I think that is a proper way to interpret what he's made here. And so,
And you have the chalice running over,
yeah.
coming down into the pit here. Very interesting.
Yeah, and this little bottle, I'm not sure what that represented.
Mm-hmm.
I'd very much like to hear an explanation of the intent.
Mm-hmm. These certainly seem to be, it almost seems like things from a graveyard. So we've got, what is that? Is that?
Just
looks
realized
like
my
health.
shadows are getting in the way too.
Health. And certainly got hope, joy,
Yeah, some of them are unreadable, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking that's
kind of being
part
destroyed.
of the... Yeah.
There's a lot of decay and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Maybe justice. And yeah. It's a mystery, right? The mysterious art will keep us standing here for hours trying to figure it out. So we will eventually have artist statements, but we can marvel at how cool this is. I know, maybe I shouldn't reveal too much. Used a lot of styrofoam and clay in making this piece. And so we just sort of carved it and painted it. So it's amazing to me to see how the things are transformed. You know, those materials transformed by the art making process. Really
Now,
cool.
this one over here, we'll come around to this, but I gotta say, this one just grabbed me viscerally right away.
Back in the corner here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We spoke, this is a young lady who spoke very candidly about self-harm and cutting and had, been in treatment. And so it really is about, we talked a lot about, as she started drawing this, for me as a viewer, so what I see, I'm asking, who is this? Right here, because we just see the arms.
Yep.
And that's interesting to me. I don't think it's something that is, I think it was a good choice, not a poor choice, to do it that way, because it does engage the viewer. Who is this? And then this is, what's going to come next? And so this is, the hope emerging from this. Graduating senior, and she's hoping to go to, and as far as I know, plans to go to the same school I went to. So hopefully that works out for her.
In a way, I kind of see the butterflies representing it like flying away. You're letting it go.
Yeah.
You know.
And something painful and something beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the butterflies, I think, do imply transformation.
That's what I was thinking. Butterflies coming from the cocoon, applying something better came out of this.
Right.
Yeah, and this is an example of someone just being real honest with what's going on in their story, and experiencing some joy and relief by just sharing that with the group and having a group of people, speak back to her. We care about you.
Now, this one struck me with just the level of skill involved.
Yeah.
That
she
is all
is a skilled
stitched.
artist. Yes. I believe needlepoint.
Needlepoint, yeah. I have no idea, yeah.
I could get that wildly wrong because it's, I'm very much pencil and paper, but Lydia is a very skilled artist, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I hope the camera's doing it justice. The detail in the hair with the different blondes and browns and just, yeah.
Yeah. So she's done work before that has featured portraits, but this one's, she's got her back turned to us.
Mm-hmm.
What is that saying?
Well, and it's almost like she's got her back to us, so we're standing behind her. So one of the things that this is probably not where she's going with this, unless she listened to my podcast. But one of the revelation things that I learned about when a voice comes from behind you, a spiritual voice comes from behind you, it's kind of indicating all the things that God has done for you in the past. So he's calling out to you from behind you, but also reminding you of all of the things that have happened and have come to you.
Oh, okay.
So that would be something that, you'd have to listen to my study to
I'll try to remember that
but,
when I read Revelation again.
But because it's specifically the part where, John, he hears the voice call from him from behind, the great voice, the voice like a trumpet. It calls from him from behind. And so I was really curious as to why did it come from behind? Why does it specify? And so I looked into that, and it's kind of understood that when that voice comes from behind like that, it's a reminder of all the things that God has done for you in the past, and all the stuff that will come to pass.
Well, I don't know exactly what it's about, but I will bring that up with Lydia.
See, I look at that and think she did it from behind to show the incredible detail in the hair.
Yeah. She's just showing how great an artist she is.
She could totally do that. And it might not mean anything necessarily to her other than that's what she wanted to do. She liked kind of showing, the stitching lends itself to showing hair. I think it lends itself very well to that. But I don't know. We'll find out. But that's because is it like she's got her back to you, or are we standing behind her?
Mm-hmm.
Those are
Yeah.
two ways to look at it. All right. So this artwork done by a mentor, young lady, just a picture with her and her, it's her and her mother. And it's about generations.
And very well done for portraits. I know portraits are not always the easy thing to sketch, and this looks very nice.
It is well done. And she did not think of herself as an artist before maybe 6 months ago.
Well,
Maybe
over that. You're
maybe
an
close
artist.
to a year ago. Yeah, too late. I'm going back.
Wow. Now,
Very nice.
this
Now,
next one I'm kind of familiar with.
some worthless hack who likes to fiddle with colored pencils.
So for those of you who are interested in Spiritman, this is a preview of some characters that haven't shown up yet in issues 1 through 3. They're on their way. But you want to say anything about this, Paul?
Well, I called it Sung and the other guy, so this would be Sung. That's the other guy, which I find out tonight is Steven. And I could have known that, but, it's like I'll get into the script in detail when it comes time for that. So I read through it to get familiarized with it. But, I couldn't find necessarily quickly at hand anywhere that this guy had a name, but I'm trying to design, okay, what do these characters look like? And they're in this, I got to the point in issue 4 where they appear, but they're not really going to be in full detail.
They're
right?
teased.
Right, they're teased. But it's like, how do I tease them? It's like, I got to know what these characters look like. Am I going to tease something that sets something in stone that we're then scrambling to build around later? So it's kind of like, okay, I got to figure these characters out. But the thing is, it's like, for spirit men in our world, and spirit women, whatever, they can envision their own armor, and it's unique to them. And so I kind of, what are these characters about? So I spent a little time at the Art Institute, kind of looking at some Asian art, because Sung is, I think,
Japanese.
Japanese. Okay, and so so what would a Japanese person's interpretation of armor be? And then the other guy here, I kind of was thinking more maybe techno, but also I'm thinking like this should be a stained glass shield. Something like a church stained glass window. But then also the armor is going to represent circuit boards. And so he's like, when you have feet shod with gospel of peace, he's like, what is the logic of, because these are logic boards, what's the logic of peace? So there you go. I defined something for you in your comic. So maybe some things change in there, right? It's very much a work in progress, but that's kind of where my thinking was going. I stick with the red capes, and I kind of think the red cape, still kind of gives it that superhero nuance, but also is like symbolizing covering by the blood.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking this whole time.
Cool. So the other characters around these are reminiscent of the cover for issue 1, and I put them in there because I think that's key to the idea of Spiritman, because the armor in Ephesians chapter 6 talks about our struggle is not against flesh and blood, and I think, man, that says so much right there, because if you look at that idea of our struggle, all right, Adolf Hitler wrote a book about his struggle, Mein Kampf, my struggle. And when we say as Christians, we have a struggle, but our struggle is not against people. Mm-hmm. People don't have to be my enemies. I can make peace with people. My struggle is against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly realms, and that's what I'm trying to kind of illustrate a little bit there.
I know at least one specific instance. I know we've had several, but at one of the cons. We've had comments where people came up to us and said, well, I saw your artwork from the table and I thought, I'm going to pass by.
Yeah.
I'm not, but then as I was walking by, I saw you talking to people and you seem like nice guys, so I thought I'd come check it out. And a lot of people see this kind of thing and they think, oh my gosh, those are some sick people into some sick things. But I appreciate the honesty. Again, that word comes back. I appreciate the fact that, no, this is spiritual warfare, and the enemy is disturbing and hideous and evil, and there's no whitewashing.
Yeah, and my thought in making this image this way is, if we really understood the nature of the spiritual battle that we are in, the scriptures tell us we're in this, would we not pray more? Would we not cling more tightly to Jesus?
Yeah.
If we really understood the precariousness of our situation, the utter out-and-out conflict on a daily basis we enter into as followers of Christ with these spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly realms.
So we got a couple pieces over here.
Moving. Okay, so this young lady worked in the swamp, which is what we call our oil painting studio.
Oh, okay.
And so this was.
I knew it wasn't a MASH reference.
This was right. Well, might be a little bit, but this is our her first venture into oil painting, and I think she did an awesome job.
She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
You tell me this is the first time, and I have a hard time believing it. It's very, very nicely done, and I just absolutely love. Once again, I hope the camera's getting the detail of the colors and the swirls of the paint.
In bright colors is a sign that this is well done, because oil paintings, the paint does not dry fast. It's probably still a little bit wet, so we want to be careful about maybe even touching it. But because it stays wet for so long, the colors will tend to blend together. But she's been able to get very nice pure colors and bright colors and put them next to each other, and it really pops like that. Yeah. I know there's
Excellent
some stuff.
work.
I don't know, maybe it looks like a character with a mouth and a nose. I don't know. Maybe that's my interpretation.
No, I definitely saw kind of a Picasso-esque vibe to a lot of it.
See faces in there, but it'll be interesting to, read her statement and find out what this is about. All right. Emma's art piece. She likes to use words. I like to challenge her on that, and which is funny as one who does comic books, because I'm constantly mingling art with the words. But I think it's valuable to be challenged on that. And she did a wonderful job. I think a thing I struggled with this is, at first I wanted to interpret this as being, this was the center. This is a self-portrait, as she said. This is the center of her. And it's not that. These are voices, positive voices, that speak into these negative voices. So it feels like she has these negative voices speaking to her. And so this is about the positive voices surrounding her, and this is kind of like the network. Maybe it kind of makes me think of like nerves and synapses.
Yeah.
Things like that. But
you see the conflict here. These are probably, unfortunately, things that people have called her or said about her, and she's being reinforced by the truth around her. I think it's pretty cool. And then from my angle, I don't know if it's doing at your angle, but it actually is creating a 3D effect with this outer border. So what's in the middle there for me is actually kind of popping out in 3D.
Okay. Cool.
I didn't see it at the other angle. I saw it at this angle. It's kind of an interesting effect.
Cool. Well, let's move out to this middle piece here before we go to the other wall.
All right. Yeah, okay. Rachel, okay, first of all, think about the shadows that are occurring on that sculpture stand. That is some cool stuff.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because my focus was here, not on the shadows.
Yeah, and
that adds a new element.
Shadow is such an important part of sculpture. And this one, is just really playing with that in an amazing way. And so she took, I'm going to be at a loss necessarily to say all of what this means, but we can, it's the idea of, it looks like maybe a tree, maybe it's like a burning bush, because of the gold and whatnot. I don't know, that's me adding an interpretation. But it's also glass that's got some scratches and scoring on it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what they're trying to tell us. But I see a shattered person that's still rooted, though. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. That could be a very good interpretation of it. I'll try and remember to mention that to her. Pieces of a shattered person.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if it's intended to be static, like a tree, or if this is intended to be captured in a moment of time and like it's exploding.
Well, you've got rocks in there, so you're still rooted in the rock. I mean, I'm definitely adding my own interpretation of what I'm seeing here, but that's kind of what I'm getting is just this shattered effect, but you're still rooted by the rock. Very interesting.
Yeah. Beautiful, and I know how sharp glass is.
Beautiful and dead.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's walk around here.
Nice.
Give us any
All right.
insights?
So I remember this artist Noelle talking about how she hated her piece. What an incredible piece of art this is.
She's not happy with her piece, huh?
No, she might be now. She had said that in process.
Yeah.
And sometimes art goes through that stage where the first coats of paint looks a little rough. It hasn't been brought together and you're stressed out. But she sculpted this with styrofoam and just layered it on it and painted it.
Because I got to tell you, from across the room, I first saw this, on the other side of the room, and I thought it's so well done. It took me to get over here to see the roof is one piece. From across the room, I thought each one of these scales, the shingles, were individual pieces that she had put on.
Yeah, it really does pop.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of westerns, so I mean, this one just speaks to me because of the setting and what we're seeing here. And I think we all tend to be kind of our own worst critics. But yeah, she has nothing to be ashamed of with this. This looks really cool.
Yeah, I love how everything is textured. It's got a very that is amazing texturing.
Mm-hmm.
And the paint just sort of accents that and partners with it.
Well, if you hadn't told us what it was, I mean, I would think I was looking at wood.
Yeah.
I'm looking at wood. These look like the engravings in a wood piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well done, Noelle.
All right.
All right, so this is a young lady, a mentor with us, person who works at a coffee shop. What do they call it?
Barista?
Barista, yeah. She's amazing. She talks like she celebrates her barista practices, and I'm sure she is a great one. Kind of a doodler, and just has fun with her doodles and building words into them. Not sure, a lot of these pieces, I'm not sure exactly what it means. I think it is about people and like God's building his church and he's the cornerstone, and then we're parts of that church that get built together. I'm pretty
cool.
sure, having known about her, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah. I immediately got the idea that we were the bricks in this wall.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
She just loves collage.
I also got the feeling in this, like, these are established, but it's still being built. It's like this up here, it's like the these are solid, this is just the pencil sketch, so to speak. As we get closer to the bottom, they're 3D. It's like they're closer to being a part of this.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought. It's like this is finished and done, but these are still being added
I'm thinking
and
too,
prepared.
like, these feel very spiritual.
Uh-huh.
They're this non-physical reality, and these are maybe more a physical
there you
reality.
go.
That's kind of how I'm reading it.
Okay.
Not that you were saying anything wrong. I think, but there's something very interesting about how they kind of morph into this and creates this space right here. That's describing a literal is probably the safest thing. The three-dimensional blocks shown from different angles.
So this one,
All right. Yes, Anna. I think this one really is about adventure, and I think that Anna envisions herself as this knight. So that's probably her spirit man, spirit woman armor.
yeah, because I definitely saw the sword,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't see a helmet. So my first thought was, you said adventurer, and I thought of like a game,
Mm-hmm.
that type of situation. She's going into the going into the wilderness to seek what is out there.
One of the judges of Israel traveled with a group of adventurers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being a video game fan, that's what I this immediately screamed adventure to me. Something, you're going on an adventure, a journey. And her horse in particular is just, I hope this camera is doing justice, because this talent and her with her sword. Yeah, really neat.
Sophia. Yeah, so this is just a beautiful piece with, well, I love the subtlety. This is probably my favorite part, is the subtlety of these colors. It reminds me of the color choices of Van Gogh, honestly. It's so nice right in there. Also interesting, this sunrise sunset is also, it's a sunflower.
Very neat. Yeah.
I think I agree with you. I like it. I like the whole thing, but this keeps my eyes up here.
Yeah. That's an interesting sky. It glows, has a warmth.
Yeah, to me, this just speaks of glory.
Yeah. Such contrast with these jagged peaks and their coldness.
It's interesting. The peaks make me think too of Sheen. Is the Hebrew letter, and
okay.
the word picture in Sheen is peak or teeth. Basically things that destroy. So, because like you think of a teeth chomping on something, chopping it up, but it also stands for mountain peak, sharp, jagged things.
Okay.
And yet, Sheen, the word picture for destroy, is the first letter of shalom, which is ultimate peace. I mean, and I saw that right here.
Interesting.
No idea if there was any connection to what she was thinking, but that's what I got out of this.
Yeah. I'll try and remember this stuff, because the kids would love to hear this. It might be a reason we'll say, hey, got to go listen to the podcast, right?
Yeah, come on over.
Now this is fascinating to me.
Okay, why?
Just because of it's almost like, it's obviously several different people, but it's almost like it's put together as if it's one person with many pieces to them.
Yeah, so you have the neck, which is establishing the base of your face, and then from there, you know, you got a lot going on, and even though they are different people, it's beautiful.
And it's not just, you know, different pictures from different people to merging together to make one face. You've got two eyes, you got two eyes, you got another eye. It's like different faces. I imagine it almost like they're coming together to, you know, to blend in some way.
Well, and you have different techniques used. Like you got pencil, you got pen, you got colored pencil, maybe even a painted one at the top there. But it's all, yeah. I get like a mosaic of a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that describes it well. It's Courtney's self-portrait. And instead of, you know, painting something or drawing something representational, she's showing you aspects.
And with the grid all the way around, it's almost like it's emphasizing definition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, order.
Order, yeah. And yet it's like, yeah, it's like chaos within order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like we are highlighting and analyzing the separateness, the uniqueness, the oneness, and yet different. It draws me.
It's cool. I think it would be a treasure for students to hear you guys talking about their art, interpreting it.
Well, it's a treasure for us to see it. It's just an awesome experience. It's just very overwhelming and cool. I'm just very appreciative of what is going on here.
Now, maybe it's just because we do a comic book too, but I saw the style and I saw this chapter 1, and my first thought was, I want to read the rest of this.
Yeah. This is, I don't know if it's a cover or kind of a opening image for a comic book idea. So,
okay.
Yeah, and he's made comic books in the past, so I don't doubt that he'll pull something off. This is another Sam, and I'm not sure necessarily how to interpret what he's doing. He makes very interesting, thought-provoking comics. He did a comic of a character that eats himself, and it was like just like eventually like different parts will go into his mouth and then disappear.
Wow.
And he's kind of into the avant-garde, art is about, just different ideas, and so he's very thoughtful in what he does, and intriguing. So I see this character and I kind of think, what's he thinking about? Like, what's going on with this character? And are we going to learn in the story? And what's this stuff going on here? Interesting. These are opposites on the color wheel, the yellow and purple. So.
Well, and even his outfit choices of green and purple, did that signify something? And the eyeballs, what are they trying to signify? I mean, I think we could talk just about the title of it. I think we could discuss that, and what does that even really mean for quite some time. This is definitely a conversation piece.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, Scott. I do want to know what else is going. What happens next? I do want to know what the next chapter is.
Well, do we want to check out some of the rest of the building? Or
yeah, we certainly can.
Real quick, Scott, I want to get this door over here.
Oh yeah.
So you were talking about how you guys just did an art project with some doors that you had, and this one was briefly mentioned to us to kind of represent. We were supposed to think about Passover, and we were supposed to notice the snake.
Okay, Matt was telling you about his image?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so
he said, pay attention to the snake, that it has a lot of holes in it, and think Passover. And then he just walked out.
Yeah, that's what we got. And I came up with a whole bunch of stuff in my own head. But But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
There.
And then you got this guy
Yeah.
down here.
Well, Jesus was about the seed of the woman that would trample the head of the serpent. That's what I would think of as being the holes in the serpent. Trample the head.
Yep.
Open, right? Open. So maybe that.
And is this like the blood of the Passover lamb
I think so.
protecting from the...
I think so. I think these
serpent.
maybe could be read as drops landing in water. That down there.
I would assume that that's a victim of the angel of death, so to speak,
Yeah,
that was not protected by the lamb.
I think so.
Because it looks like almost a demon head, like
Yeah,
carrying him
it's-
away.
I think open is key. I think it's stand. I think it uses that language a lot in Revelation about. You stand at the door, and any who open are welcome to enter. Paraphrasing wildly, but it uses that language, and so
I stand at the door and knock.
yeah,
You open unto me, I will come in and sup with you.
yes,
Again,
yes.
I'm not getting it word for word, but yeah.
And I think that's a part of that door, that because of Jesus and this, barrier
Yeah.
to entering communion with God, that has been done away with. Because of Jesus, we may open. And in this case, opening the door leads us to the swamp. This is actually the swamp, our oil painting studio.
All right.
Just a
Heaven
lot
is
of-
much nicer, I'm just saying.
A lot of creative people, a lot of creative talent around here. Just very impressive.
All right, so we can probably get a shot of the gallery sign, because it is important to us. And that's all the lights on. So, that's not in the right direction. Way with everything here. This is an interesting light show. I think we got it. Okay, yeah, so I was telling the story that video rental place had this gallery sign, and they went out of business, and somehow it landed here with us, and them saying, "Do you want it?" And we're, "Oh yeah, we want it, because we do a gallery show." And you got to have stuff around. Oh, okay, come this way. All right, well, we're on the way. I'll show you. Here is the skateboarding ministry.
Yeah.
That lots of young folks come here and do dangerous things with skateboards. And this is a half pipe. And just so you're satisfied, right? We have helmets. and the obligatory sign saying no skateboarding allowed.
No skateboarding allowed.
And you said that this whole space over here is going to become
This is going to become
more of a
skateboarding
space.
park.
Okay.
Right, with they've got plans.
Okay, so
They're gonna-
greater skateboarding park over here.
Yeah. We
What I-
also.
And what I love is just I'm just painting around, and more beautiful art. Just everywhere you look,
Yeah.
creative, beautiful art.
We have overflowed with invention. Okay, so there's this cool story about YFC did not always exist in this space. They did have space across town, and it was not as nice as this space, but there was this basement in this space where they had shoved a bunch of their stuff from past activities. And when we started Portable Vision, things were kind of in a state of change, and that stuff was not being used by anybody. And they said, you can go into, into the basement, and you can pull out anything you want. So some of the furniture we were sitting on for our podcast was pulled from that basement. But I got to show you, at Portable Vision, see, we have a cast of characters that hang around, and I can introduce you to a couple of those. Hopefully, they're going to be around here.
Watch your feet.
They're in here. This we call the Outback. Okay, hang tight. We gotta find Sven and Sven's offspring. Last I knew, they were in here.
Don't worry. If you take a while finding them, we'll edit that part out.
Okay, all right. We gotta find Sven.
Okay, you got to look at the floor.
So one night Sven died. That was Sven right there. And we were like, "Where's Sven? What happened?" It was like a crime scene happened. And this stuff just mysteriously appeared. We haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet. Maybe Sven and some offspring made it into storage. I'm gonna get nervous. Do I have Sven and his offspring? I really doubt someone would have absconded with them. They're such important parts of what we do. I gotta say, they're freaking me out a little bit. I mean, maybe they ended up in the swamp. I feel like making an emergency text to find out. Check over here, I guess. Did Sven get sold? Okay. This is disturbing. Sven is a fly. Big sculpture of a fly, but it's really an ashtray. But nobody smokes now, so nobody knows what Sven is. So we call him Sven the birthday bug. They actually written Sven. And Sven is something we found in this basement. Oh, Sven, he's on the throne. You could not hide from Sven. The big reveal. Sven.
Oh, okay.
And his offspring. Here we go. This is Sven. Sven's the birthday bug. He has wings that flap. It says, "See, I heart birthdays." I'm Sven. If it is your birthday when you're at PV, you get to hold Sven's the birthday bug. Now this is Sven's offspring. This is also something that we found in the basement. And we thought, cannot think of a better thing for our art studio than to have this giant ball of gaffer tape. And as it turns out, way back when, before Portable Vision started, there was a music ministry happening at YFC that they did concerts, and they'd set up equipment, and they'd have gaffer tape to hold down the wires. And when they peel it up, they'd just start wrapping it in this ball, and it became this.
Wow.
So this is YFC Legacy. And I actually know what's at the center of that, and I ain't telling you.
That's okay.
But I have it on good authority. So Sven and Sven's offspring are characters that hang around with us.
I used to work for just a video retail store that, you'd have sale stickers on everything, and they'd get changed weekly. So we'd peel the old stickers off, and we created a similar type of massive ball. We named him Senior Sticky Ball. And that's I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him.
Every place needs to have some characters around, right? We had a plastic orange that somebody wrote "real" on, and so we called it the Reel. And one time the reel turned up missing, so we did our whole theme for the show. That session was "Where's the Reel?" And we made a big show of finding the reel. At our reception, up on stage, we're like, "Where's the reel?" And doesn't even know where it is. We're like looking around, and somebody says, I found it. I found the reel. And they bring the plastic orange down to the front. And then we passed out orange gummy slices to celebrate the return of the reel. It was a fabulous night.
All right.
Art adventure. Yeah, that's cool. All right.
So this room, you said, is where you kind of come in and initially start talking about stuff, or?
Yeah, it's our large group space. So we'll do a snack, and then we come in here. We'll do start things off with Would You Rather, and it's usually some disgusting choice, like, I don't know, would you rather, taste with your feet or, or smell with your ears or something like that. People have to make a choice. And it's not.
Should we shut these off?
Yeah, you can guys come on, or whatever. I'll double back.
Oh. You were being kind.
Yes. Trying to be gentle.
All right.
All right. So that's a scene from camp that a group of students painted. Sleep in teepees, and got the Beartooth Mountains in the background. And that's right from the...
Was this an art project from that camp?
Yeah. We're in the free time. People could go down and put paint on this canvas. And so kind of a group project. And, our first year at camp, I took a group of campers and drove out on this road in a vehicle. It's like a four-wheeler thing, or I don't know, was it called a gator, some kind of vehicle like that. Anyway, we're driving out there into these foothills, and the group of girls that were in the vehicle as we left camp and got on this gravel road to go into Shoshone Forest are just whooping and hollering. They are just experiencing the wildness of the West. And it was a great experience. So we saw grizzly bears that time. And my buddy Matt, who we met earlier, he made the door. He was in the pickup truck, and he was like, whoa, look at that, there's grizzly bears. Okay, grizzly bears can run faster than that gator vehicle I was in can drive, right? Well, yeah, Matt, you're in the pickup truck. You can stop to celebrate, but you can get in the vehicle and outrun these things. I can't.
Oh, man.
Fortunately, they had just killed a cow and had eaten all they wanted. So, we saw grizzly bear butts running away from us.
Oh, man.
Welcome to camp, yeah. So we could go downstairs. Hoop time is no longer happening, but we could go down and turn lights on, I guess.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
All right. YFC Wheels.
Yeah, what about that?
So they're down at the other end of the building is an auto shop. So they kids come in and work on cars, and they rebuild and recondition cars, and they sell them.
And here's the audio listening station,
Yes,
you said?
audio, portable audio. So it's portable vision and audio. And let me take a glimpse in here. Look at some of the instruments and sound booths. So yeah, students will come in and I'm standing here. Write a song, create a piece of music. They can have words or not, doesn't matter. But then they record using GarageBand and some different soundproof stations, and then also perform on the night of our gallery exhibition.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Take some real bravery. I'd rather do the drawing and then put it up and say, look at that, don't look at me.
Yeah.
Look at the drawing.
Yeah, we say that frequently in the podcast. Sorry you have to look at us now, but we want to be on YouTube.
But it is your choice. I'm just.
Yeah. All right. This is all so cool.
Hoop time. Okay, so they have girls groups and guys groups. The girls group is called Braid, and they do girl stuff. It's a mystery, not sure what that is, but it's cool nonetheless. And the dudes.
And did you say this was done by?
Yep, KJ52, famous rap artist, Christian guy, came from Miami. It was a little cold for him here, but he was a trooper. And he likes to, as well as rapping, do graffiti. So we did some graffiti together, and he rapped for us, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, heading down. And you said that was Matt?
That's Matt, right?
Okay.
Dressed up like Bob Ross.
We met him
So
earlier.
he's the door guy with the snake and trampling the head of the serpent. So yeah, Matt is a fabulous oil painter, and so he kind of runs the Swamp Studio. He's also our leader here. He oversees the different ministry sites, so he gets into. You know what? Honestly, I don't. Because he's a dude, I don't think he does the braid a lot, but his partner Hannah oversees that. I'm sure he has some role. Honestly, I don't know all of what Matt does, but he's involved with all the different ministry sites here. And he's also a fabulous dude. All right, so who comes in there? We got to go around and get
Yeah, but I was going to say the door is open over there, but I also wanted to check out these photos. Watch your feet. Show where this came from.
Okay, yes.
So before we go in,
So, yeah, the space we're about to enter used to be, think of a plague of rats. Like, we were afraid to open the door for fear of what might come out of there. It was a dirt floor. People donated. Actually, some of these pictures don't do it justice because people had donated. This one kind of does. It was filled with junk. But that looks a little bit spacious. That's after a whole bunch of stuff got cleared out. So it's gone through a transition.
and you said this hole over here that they're digging in right there, you said that was a weighing station for
Yeah,
trucks?
truck scale. Yeah. And
Because this whole thing used to be for semi-trucks.
Yep. It was an Anderson Trucking Company, and the company and the Andersons have been tremendous supporters of Youth for Christ. So they gave us one heck of a deal on.
So all of these
The
pictures
building.
we're seeing, that dirt floor is the floor we're about to go into,
Yes.
is the room. And then
Yes.
here they're building it.
So it eventually got concrete, which is such a dramatic improvement. Unless you're going to play basketball games in which someone might fall and end up wrecking their knees because it was concrete. And so, yeah, we had hoop time and it needed a space. And so this is what it became.
This is cool.
That's awesome.
Hello.
Hello.
And we were just here earlier, we didn't catch it on film, but this place was filled with basketball players.
Yeah.
One game here, one game in the far court, and 2 games of full court basketball, going hard at it, falling on their knees, and not getting hurt, which was awesome.
And it had the good old sneaker on
Yeah,
squeaks
Uh-huh.
and no, this is awesome.
Yeah, so blessed to be in the space, seen it go through so many transitions. Like I remember when their stairways that are here now were not there. When instead of a nice gallery space, we had this really ugly wallpaper, and we saved scraps of it just to torment Matt with the wallpaper. We remind him of what it used to be every now and then.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's probably back
Someone
in the
else?
kitchen. Oh, that's probably Bob, the cleanup guy. Yeah.
Yep. Well, cool.
Anyway,
Well, that about wraps up the tour. Do you want to end it here, or do you want to head upstairs and?
Well, why don't we go ahead and end it here? And real quick, I just want to apologize. I'm not a professional cameraman, and so I tried really hard not to be too shaky for you guys, but I did really feel like it was important to show this to you. So I hope you appreciated that. But as always,
I'm Scott.
I'm Paul.
and I'm Brad, and this is not about us.